I had to take the private subway system that Rob, that connects me straight to the airport. And when I was going down there, I had to take you know how it goes. You have to like walk through the secret passageway, go down the pole, open the Shakespeare statue, slide down, go down there. You have to walk down the 3 flights of stairs, jump on that elevator, and then take that channel right to the airport. And as I got off to the channel to take my private jet to fly to Cairo, there was a note in front of me again on it, and it said in italics, "Whisper." And I'm like, "Whisper? Whisper? What's that mean?" And it said, "Whisper." So Dad would take the air Sundays off, and there's the only time he could ever get any rest. And so, because we were so loud on Sundays, he'd make us hold his construction boots over our head till we sleep. And they were really heavy boots. I used to say, "Dad, come on, please," and we start like crying because they're too heavy. Some deep, deep, deep stuff from Venice.
Wow. I'm glad it was his construction boots, not anything else that was heavy.
Again, if anyone could tell me, clearly it's something. If someone could tell me where that's from, I mean, static. I don't know. Clearly, there were some tears, some droplets on that piece of paper. So when he wrote it, he was crying. Clearly.
Yeah, or it was rainy.
Oh, good. Could have been that too.
Could have been that too.
He went through a waterfall. You know what? He tried to punch a waterfall. That's what happened.
Well, the next I'm expecting a note to come down talking about don't go chasing waterfalls, but I think that's happened already. I think we had a note about don't go chasing waterfalls. Yeah. So, welcome everyone to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. I'm your host, Stupe. With me is one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World, Mr. John Ho. Please say hello.
Hello.
And our resident pitcher, Mr. Rob.
This guy, I just said hello, and he's already like, this guy just saying hello. That's it.
Well, hello everybody. For those who are listening and don't have the you're not watching. John, I know you're wearing a Nightwing hoodie, but I have to say, you look like you're a henchman for like some weird like back alley mafia guy. Like
Rob.
Why?
I don't know. You got the hair slicked back. You got your low cut, your crew cut white t-shirt. You got your necklace going on. Your zippy, your hoodie's undone a little bit.
Rob, I'm so disappointed in you. You should start with bro.
Well,
there you go. Alrighty, Rob. You lose the whole argument.
Well,
you said that you look like bro.
I'll give you that this like wing looks kind of funny. The placement of the wing.
Let me just say this, Stu, is that I have a 13-year-old son who refers to me as bro all the time. No. Like he'll be like, "Oh my god, bro, it's so cold out." I'm like, or he's like,
buy him a bright red jumpsuit. You call me bro. You're wearing this all the time.
He legit calls me bro for everything. I'm like, "Hey, do you want to go see a movie?" He goes, "Bro, I don't know if I want to go see that." I'm like, "Okay." So no, I'm not going to call anybody else bro because I'm about to shake in rage.
I think it's cool because he doesn't want to call you dad or anything that like is kind of like he's
here's
like, bro,
the thing.
like you're my friend. I think that's flattering.
I think in the dad corner, Rob could be like, "Well, bros don't pay your allowance, so let's go, bro. Let's continue this relationship
That's
because
right.
bro doesn't drive you to the mall. Bro doesn't give you money. Bro doesn't do this stuff. Pops does. So
I'm gonna tell him to call you Dada again. You want to go back in
Would
time?
you rather be called Pops instead, Rob, or would you rather be Pops, or would you rather be bro?
Well, I guess if I have that, I guess, bro, I don't want to be called Pops. That's like Pop Tate from Archie Comics. I don't have, I don't carry a broom and make malt shakes for the kids. So I guess, bro, if those are my only.
But if you were in Riverdale, it'd be very edgy, Rob. You'd also have like a meth dealership as well. So maybe you got to rethink that.
Well, that's where I employ our friend here. That's what
Hey, give me a toothpick. Give me a toothpick too.
Not in Riverdale.
Are you like, yo, son, come over here and stuff like that? Because if you do, you should change it to bro, though. Yo, bro.
He'll ask me. He goes, "What did you do?" I go, "Bro, don't know." So at any rate, it is what it is.
I think you got to go. I think you got to change it up and call him something just as ridiculous on the other side.
Yeah, well, yes. Trust me, I can assure you guys, I do.
We have suggestions. If there's suggestions from the chat, from the the message boards, let us know in the bottom. What's a nice way of I call him hench as like a henchman, but there are things to do.
Call him number 2. Call him number 2 then.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Who does number 2 work for? Who does number 2 work for?
Then there are questions of who's number 1, and you'll be like, guess who's number 1 then?
Broski.
I'll let you figure this out, bro. The dialogue writes itself. This is a great tree. This is a great tree.
Yeah.
So we're jumping off.
Is that the pod? Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. We're done.
See you guys.
We are here to talk about episode 3 of Moon Knight. John, what's it called?
You Got a Friend in Me?
Close. Rob, you know the episode name?
No, couldn't give a shit.
My Two Dads. My Two Avatars. My Two Avatars, right?
Oh boy, God. Oh boy. Anyways,
I have one hand on my avatar and the other one's turning to stone. No?
The correct titling was The Friendly Type. There we go.
Okay.
This was episode 3 of 6 of the Odyssey known as Moon Knight. So, John, give us your brief thoughts of Moon Knight.
I thought you were going to ask me to summarize it, and I'm like, yo, you picked a really, really wrong week.
No, John, give it up.
Because, like, what the hell?
I know for a fact episode 4 and 5 are bangers, so prepare yourself. Next week I'll ask you.
You know? Okay. So
because the lot of the reviewers have gotten episode 4 and 5, and I think the only reason they got it because episode 1, 2, 3 are so slow. They're like, oh God, people are going to drop off this show. So we need to grease the wheels, give people episode 4 a little bit of time, because I think they gave the traditional media people 3, and they're like, here you go, and then everyone was like, I don't know about the show, and they're like, okay, here's episode 4 in advance, so you can pump up and say, don't worry, stay for the ride, episode 4 is worth it. So there are some reviewers who got 4 and 5 who said, yo man, 4's good, 5's even better. So maybe that's good or bad. But yes, Rob shaking his head. John, tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, so unfortunately, guys, I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys say because I am really not feeling this right now. So this episode, I'm ready to cue up the Tyrese gif, ejectocito, because for some reason I'm not feeling it. And when we get into spoiler stuff, we'll have to talk about it. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
Rob?
Yeah, I don't quit on things so easily.
Okay. Okay, bro.
I wait till they're at least 6 seasons in before I pull the shoe.
I invest like a good chunk of my life before I call it quit.
Why 5-0? I'm out after
quitter.
season 6. Listen, this is an interesting episode. I was thinking about it today, in that look, these first 3 episodes are all really close in their timing, right? Like they're all 52 minutes, and yet the pacing on this one feels so vastly different than the pacing on number 2, which felt in itself vastly different from the first. And I almost wonder if it's being done purposefully. So I liked the episode. I thought that there is a lot to like about it. I think it lays down a fair amount of exposition to, I think, be able to provide enough of a story to get you through these next 3 episodes. But the pacing is a bizarre choice, and that's why it makes me think that it might be done purposefully. All this to say, my son, who is my ride and die on these shows, after the episode, jumped up off the couch and goes, bro, this might be my favorite Marvel TV show that they've done. I was like, really? Like more than Hawkeye? He's like, yeah. I was like, more than Loki? He's like, yeah. I said more than Winter Soldier and Falcon. He goes, I didn't watch that one because I thought it looked like shit. I was like, okay. Yeah, he didn't watch it.
Bro,
so
come on.
Yeah. So at any rate, if it's not hitting for adults, I think it's hitting for that age group. So whatever.
I don't know about that, John. I don't know if you've seen John's social media accounts. He's like a young viral man who's just doing stuff, pictures, selfies. John's a kid at heart with the people. So if it doesn't resonate with John, that's my voice of the under 20s, which is John Ho. He knows all the things of that nature. But it's interesting you say that, Rob, and I'm interested, John, to get your thoughts in a moment's time. So let's really just get into ratings, John. What do you give this bad boy out of 10?
So this episode,
bear in mind, everyone at home knows that John's math doesn't matter. But this show could be like, dude, this is the best show I've ever seen. So
yeah, I used Rubik's cubes last week, so I don't know. I think I'll use what was that stick that made like a grid? I forgot what it's called. I'll look it up. But if this was a tic-tac-toe board, this would be like when you get stuck in that position where you can't win no matter what square you pick. So I get
stuck in this bit.
Yeah, I am. I should have wrote it out beforehand. I unfortunately, yeah, like I'm not feeling this. I struggled with this episode, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Rob?
6.5.
Whoa. You gave no indication you were going to give it that low.
I'm going to give it a solid 7, man.
See, I was going to go 7. I was like, I don't know, because last week's I think I gave it like about a 7.5. So
yeah, I actually thought this episode was pretty darn good.
Yeah, I changed it. I'm going to 7 as well.
I thought, and we'll go into it. I think a few things that it really resonated with me compared to the last week's episode, and I've always watched each Moon Knight episode at least twice, and I watched the second time again. It was like, I was really thinking about a few things I saw. So some of it was ridiculous, but I think Marvel has driven themselves in the corner where that's the default. They have to do that stuff because, like anything, same thing about all. Unfortunately, with the MCU and live action, is that where were you for this event? So without spoiling it, it's kind of like, well, you have to give reasons why people can't be in certain places because, unlike the comic books, you can just put them in a panel and be like, look, this character was here the entire time. Just because you didn't see them in the comic book, there they are. Like, there they are. Like, but I think in the movies and stuff, you always have to justify why people aren't there in the MCU. So let's go into spoilers because I'll go into further detail in regards to that. But yeah, so if you haven't seen Moon Knight episode 4 or 3, welcome to jump off the train and pause and join us back. But we're going to go into full spoilers of the episode. So it's a cop-out because when the Egyptian gods got together I turned to my wife and like, kind of reminds me of Stargate. Like the eyes turn white and all of a sudden the avatar takes over. I'm like, oh man, this is like Stargate SG-1. I was just missing Richard Dean Anderson. I'm like, where's MacGyver? So there was the scene where they're like, well, we ruled a long time ago that we were going to interfere with humans. I'm like, man, that's a default for everyone. The Eternals, them, the Norse gods, like anyone that has like any real powers. They're like, man, we just decided not to do stuff. It's like, man, this is excuses getting tiresome. But I assume it's going to be even more people just saying going forward in the MCU going, I was there, but I just couldn't do anything. I thought that was fine, but I was kind of like, well, you have no choice. Like contractually, you can't have. I guess you could CGI these characters in the background in the new Avengers movies going forward. I mean, look, they were always there in their costumes, but it kind of was a cop out. But I do understand why they couldn't do it that route. John, you're off. So tell us specifically why you're off. What is it about this show? Because I thought Layla's character was a little more fleshed out, and I actually thought she was a really cool character. So
yeah, like the performers, I think are all doing a good job. So I'm kind of falling on the one point, and it's the point that Rob brought up. So I think it's the pacing. So the pacing of this, it feels like it should have been a movie, and they're kind of stretching it out. These first 3 episodes, I don't feel like they've progressed enough, and that they're relying too much on this gimmick of I don't know who's controlling what, give me control of the body, this whole kind of Venom vibe. And then now there's a third personality, obviously, in the mix, but they're going to play this mystery game again. We've already done this 3 episodes. So you guys are just kind of keep treading the same path. And I'm ready to move on. I'm waiting for the Mandalorian to show up. So, I don't know when that's going to happen. If you say, the next 2 episodes are really hot, maybe we get a side quest from Hawkeye or something along those lines. Like, I don't know what the hell is going to happen here. But I think it's that. Like, I do really like Oscar Isaac's performance. I think you're right. The Lila character did get a nice expansion. We did see, I don't know what his name was, but the performer that passed away in the ski accident. I thought he did a pretty good job. And then we get to see kind of some of the other kind of gods and stuff in the mix. So I there's a lot of elements I like, but for some reason, just the way they're moving them around on the board isn't working for me right now. And despite Oscar Isaac's charm, it's not enough to carry me. I struggled to get through this episode. You said you watched it twice. I struggled to watch it once. I almost was going to stop at the halfway point because I couldn't get that last part. I just kept like, when you just start losing track of what's going on and your mind just starts to wander. That's where it lost me, when they started spinning the sky around and stuff like that. That's when they lost me. But some of the things,
that was like one of the coolest parts.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest scenes.
I feel like
I honestly thought
but
you
all the stuff.
Said,
yeah.
I thought you would have said the moment is when he starts flashing in and out again. I was like, I thought you were gonna be like, they've done this 1,000 times. Like, now I'm getting it, the gimmick is done. I thought that's when you were gonna say
the gimmick of them not being able to. I liked when they started working together. So the parts that I did like was when they're like, oh, you know what, I need you, Steven, to do this part. Okay, Mark, you got to do this part. And when they kind of started working together, that's what I kind of liked. And then they introduced this third thing, and now we're stuck all the way back at the beginning again. I really did like how if you wear just a black cap, you're seemingly undercover anywhere you go. That was pretty hilarious.
Works for Tom Cruise in every Mission Impossible.
Yeah, works for Tom Cruise. I think it's Chris Evans did it in Winter Soldier as well too. You just put on a ball cap, nobody knows who the hell you are. I did really find the whole Khonshu like taking over Steven. He's like, and he's always like yelling to get his point across. I thought that was hilarious. But other than that, yeah, like the pacing, the shaky cam especially really bothered me at the beginning. I don't know if you guys had an issue with that, but for some reason for me, I was like, this is out of control. Like, how come it's like that whole action sequence on at the beginning, I felt was ruined by that. But I'm interested to hear why this is working for you guys still.
Rob?
Why is it working for me? I find that the story has me intrigued. There are moments where I'm like, what is the point? But then Ethan Hawke comes out and he says, he does something, and you realize there's something else there. Like, I feel like he is a worthy adversary. He feels, I know it's grounded. Like, it's grounded as much as one can be in the MCU and dealing with Egyptian gods and everything else. But I feel like his villain, and we discussed this last week, his motivations are different than like, a dark elf and this and that, and Loki. But he has such command over his performance that he's not over the top. He's not, twirling his mustache like we said last week. And I'm captivated by what he's doing, because I think the idea is we can look at him and we can telegraph that he's planned all of this out. And I think he has, but I think there's a lot more that we don't know. I agree with Stu on, what's her name again?
Layla.
Yeah. Doing what, like, really kind of stepping up. That whole scene of her getting her passport and talking to the woman whom you can tell she has a contact with, and that she's not a damsel in distress. She has in that monologue, or that the discussion with the woman, she has laid out that she has a whole history of like antiquities and thievery, and she does all this stuff, and then she keeps some on the side to pay for the bills. Like, she's
Robin Hood. She basically says, I'm stealing to give back to the rightful owners.
Right. And I'm keeping some for myself to pay for my bills. So like, but she's laid the foundation that she's not a helpless individual, that she is, can take care of herself. I liked Oscar Isaac a lot again this episode. I found it to be very charming. I like the fact that they had worked together. And I thought that the idea of the gods, even though a little bit hokey, gimmicky, and how they were portrayed through their avatars, plausible based in the world that we have. Okay, fine, fair enough. It makes sense to me that we can't see the other ones, just as I'm sure they can't see Khonshu, but it would have been pretty cool if we were in the eyes of somebody else and we could see their god, right? That would have been kind of neat. And the action scenes I thought were really cool. Here's a couple of things, though, I'm going to kind of pull away from, though, that I find. One is that I was just downtown a week and a half ago, guys, and there's not as many reflective surfaces downtown as there apparently is in Egypt. Like that was the one thing, is that he was always passing by something that was reflective that Stephen could be talking to him through, to mark through, right? And I was like, what the hell? And even when he went into the pyramid, the
Great Pyramid of Giza, Rob. Apparently, you've been inside and you know exactly what it looks like. Because,
right, but I was like, well, no, but I mean, I was like, of course, it has to be something reflective because he needs to be able to speak to. Like, it just felt like
why are we having this debate? Because just like a night boat, there's always a fjord or a dam or a river for night boat just going out. It's very convenient.
Fair enough. I thought that, I don't know, and Stu would probably be able to know this. Did they use the wall to film? Because I felt like the scenes on the rooftop when he was fighting the guys, and then on the riverboat, and there were some other areas, it felt so crisp. Again, so crisp. And the purple mood lighting from the riverboat and then being reflected on them, I was like, it's way too, it looks like the wall that they were using it, because it just looked like, and again, I love the technology, but then I was like, with the Mandalorian, it felt like it really worked. And in this one, it felt really fake looking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I want to kind of talk about is Moon Knight's costume. And we don't really see a lot of him. Like, this is probably the most we've seen these last two episodes. I guess in this one, maybe last, but about the same. But I feel like it really doesn't work well. Like, I feel it's clunky. Like, when he does, his running is very bizarre. Like, he doesn't, I don't know if it's purposeful or if the costume in and of itself is just not great.
I like the other suit better, the Mr. Knight suit.
Right, but this one that we have on the screen here, the typical with the hood and the cape, I feel like it's just very cumbersome. I guess is the word I'm looking for.
It feels like an old Batman movie.
Yeah, and even when he's fighting, it looks cumbersome. It doesn't seem to flow as well as we're maybe accustomed to with these MCU movies. So it's the one thing I'm really noticing a lot, and I think the reason I'm noticing it so much is because we get so little of him in his outfits. So
I think, Rob, to your point, I thought, just to expand on Layla, I think that, John, as you know, as you're a globetrotter, been to the British Museum, there are people that have basically gone to Egypt through generations and basically taken everything of merit. If you've been to Greece, there's a plaque and be like, hey, by the way, the real ones are in Britain somewhere. We want them back. Their colonialism has basically taken a lot of these artifacts from these countries. And, it makes sense that someone from Egypt is going around taking back what they feel is theirs and providing it back to the natural owners. If you go back to certain parts of the world, they'll be like, oh, yeah, the Rosetta Stone should be somewhere here. But by the way, it's in London. And, like there's a lot of things out there that people got there and just took. And they're like, well, we found it. We're going to take it away from us. And here's some money. And these are natural artifacts to the country. And I think part of that's something that, we don't really recognize in North America. Maybe it's not as prevalent as it is in parts of Europe, but that is, that part of the world. So to have her be that type of archaeologist, someone who is, going around doing that type of stuff makes sense. And her being Egyptian and having these ties is cool. Like Mohammed Deeps was like, he pushed for this character to be this from Egypt. And it makes a lot of sense in terms of the story, and in terms of her being able to speak the language and blend in. I thought even the little things. I know it was filmed in Budapest and in Hungary and whatnot, but I did get a sense of, we're kind of been in a COVID world. So I just enjoyed being in Egypt, like imaginary Egypt. Like I enjoyed just having the pyramids. Like it was always one of the places where I wanted to visit. I just never had a chance to do it myself because the Great Revolution happened. I'm like, man, Egypt's not safe. I can't go anywhere. And then the other place I wanted to go is Jordan. So for me, I'm like, I think they spent a week in Jordan too, because, I want to go to where the Holy Grail is, of course, and go visit and go to Jordan because that's where it is. I feel like, to your point, Rob, with the fighting of him, it is a little clunky. I think it's version 1 of the suit. And again, by making it more mummified, it makes it a little less like bodysuit as it would have been in the comic, because the comic is basically like spandex, right? And this is layered on to the costume, and it just looks, the texture makes it more difficult and heavy. So that's the thing, the nature of it. And we learned from the Watchmen, capes are dumb. Like you shouldn't have a cape. Like this is the reason why you die. So that's
The Watchmen or Incredibles.
Although I'm saying Incredibles too, but like the same thing. It's like, and then but when he did, but when he jumped and did they were like, yeah, this is why for comic books it looks dope. So yeah, I think that we talked about last episode where this show is really going to benefit from these 3 extra episodes, where it's going to delve into the fact that he's not going to have his powers for this next episode. There's going to be things that happen that are going to stretch it out and make us kind of quantify where he's at, kind of the mind games of like, hey, is he really even imagining this? Is this something real? Is this not real? Is this what's going on? So I thought that was as interesting as well. So again, I think this is something that requires the whole movie to be completed, and then see where it makes that final judgment. It's too hard to do. We're only at the halfway point. Yeah. So, but John, I can understand when you could say a little disjointed.
Their formula is not to like, and we've seen it. Their previous stuff is basically, it's not really it's like this weird new kind of path. So yeah, you're right. It's almost like we're stopping halfway through a movie and doing the review. So if that back end pays off.
But don't forget, John, this is also an original property. Like all the TV shows that we've seen before they've been laid, those groundwork and those characters have been laid down.
Yeah. So we're getting an origin, and maybe so I'll chalk some of it up to maybe superhero fatigue or something like that. I don't need to see an origin. I'm had enough experience with these characters and comic books and all this stuff that I don't need origins anymore. Maybe that's why.
It's the layman's that don't know. Like, Rob's son hasn't owned a Moon Knight comic. I had another buddy reach out and we're talking about it. It's like, yeah, I have a bunch of Moon Knight comics. I'm getting ready to watch it. I was like, just wait, buddy. Just wait till it's all done. Like, don't rush to watch it now. But the fact that there's someone I know who actually has comics of Moon Knight, I was like, you're like 1 in a million, buddy. So the only tie to Rob's point of this entire show was the mention of Madripoor. It's like, yeah, we had that thing in Madripoor. That's the only thing that's tying this to the MCU. Nothing else is like, because Madripoor is a made-up Marvel city.
Yeah,
like that's the only thing that makes this an MCU. Because if she mentioned, Cairo, well, Cairo exists in the regular world,
right?
Everywhere. Yeah. There's one thing that connects it because they've not mentioned anything so far. Not the snap, not the singularity, no superheroes, no nothing. One thing that stood out so far as this criminal capital. And I did think it was kind of cool when they were having that fight sequence where, Moon Knight is doing things that just gunning guys down, and then when Mr. Knight takes over, just getting the crap beaten out of him. It's like, yeah, you might be invulnerable, but you got to know how to fight still.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see kind of that thing, and Rob to the point, Layla showing that she could take care of herself with the things too. So I thought the moon thing was really cool. Like, it does make a lot of sense.
The stars, you mean?
Yeah.
That was awesome. I thought that was great.
And I thought when Arthur Harrow spun it around, like, he's like, guys, this avatar is broken. Don't listen to him. Like, oh my God, yes, you're right. Like, this is, you're not going to get away with it. He's like, yeah, are you unwell? He's like, yeah, I'm unwell. Like, this was kind of where it was interesting to see Arthur Harrow, who basically has just a sperm lover, basically been beat down and like yelled at for years. He's like, I'm getting you, and you're too bad. So it's one of those things where, it's what I feel Eddie Brock's going to be at Venom 3, just yelling by the symbiotes, like, just go somewhere else. I'm tired of this, because it's just like a weird toxic relationship. But
were you surprised that when the gods said we're going to turn you will be imprisoned in stone, that they put him into the size of a 1982 G.I. Joe figure? Were you surprised? I thought it would have been a bit, more imposing, more, you're stuck in stone, not like something you could pick him up in your hand and walk away with him.
Hey, to be fair, last time you went to an Egyptian museum, you see those are statues that they would have all in their homes and stuff anyways, right? Like, this is not
Shazam.
That's that thing. Like, I'll give them credit. The set dressing for that Great Premier Giza looked really nice. I'm like, wow. And then the gods were kind of there. It was great. Like, I know that the director Mohammed was brought in a lot of Egyptian actors just to be like, we need to hire people from that area to make it sound correct. kind of how, like in The Wire, he's like, we got to get people from Baltimore to be in this show. That has to be that level of authenticity, and we'll fly them to whatever country to get the accent du jour. Unlike
because you couldn't bring Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton back from Egypt, from Gods and Monsters, right? So
they were not available, unfortunately. That was the only reason why they couldn't make it, was because of that. I know what people are saying, it's a little slow and a lot of things, but I think that's part of the formula of the show. It's trying to misdirect you as much as possible. And yeah, to your point, John, when the third thing came out, oh, it's Jake Lockley. Got it, cool. It's the third personality. Like
three episodes of misdirect. You know what I mean? I think it's a bit much.
John, in the last 2 years, we're used to this amount of misdirect. We've done so many podcasts where the movies will come. Nope, movie's not coming out. We're gonna push it back. Wait, movie's coming out. Not, like whether it was Fast and Furious, whether it was Wonder Woman, whether it was Spider-Man. We have so many of these movies that dates were just continually changed until it finally did come out. We're just used to being the ball yanked away from us. It is what it is.
I feel like I would enjoy this more as a movie so far, and we'll see what happens with those.
I made that comment last week, and you were like, "What? You're crazy! No, it has to be a TV series." And I was like, "What the hell? All right."
Why did I do that?
It's early to say. I think by the next 3 episodes, if they're as good as people are hoping there be, then that argument will no longer be moot. That'll be moot, because the last 3 episodes are going to be more than 3 hours. You really need the buildup of like the two of them not getting along and the payoff of them actually working together near the end of the show. So I'm interested, and I'm now want to see where the Jake Lockley character is going to be. Who's the voice?
Only you know that name. It's like for the rest of the people are like, who the hell's Jake Lockley?
So in the comics, Jake Lockley is the cab driver that embodies Mark Spector, who drives around the city and driving around people to get information on the streets. So he's the third guy on the green hat. He's the guy that gets
position, because right now, Stu's mouth is on the guy.
Dude, it looks like he's Moon Knight.
So he is the third character, unlike Batman, who has his third character that goes around as well to get news on the street. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, because episode 4 will be interesting. And Rob, do you feel that still that you only want this to be a movie? You think you could have compressed all of that?
Well, I would have to see it, but what I have to see what they do with all 6 episodes and how. All I'm saying is that I could have seen this easily be done as a movie for sure. It's interesting.
A regular movie, not a Justice League cut.
No, exactly.
Right?
No, listen, Icelandic singers make everything better. Okay.
Shoot. That's better. No, that's better.
It's interesting. So, like you mentioned, like Batman, it was like my son. He was like, "Oh, this is kind of like Marvel's version of Batman, like of his own prompting. He doesn't know about Moon Knight. He doesn't know about anything. So that's just from him watching this, which then makes me, again, the people who are watching this review probably have some minor, at least, cursory knowledge of Moon Knight, much like I did. But I do hope that for as you said, the layman or the people who don't know, who are watching this, who are vanilla to this property, I hope that they explain what the multiple personality, the dissociative disorder. Like, if he has no powers in episode 4, which is what it looks like it's happening, I hope we get some understanding as, is Mark the alpha on that one? Is it somebody else? Like, I think it's important to lay that foundation down, because I do believe that will then feed into a better understanding of the character as a whole, right? So I'm hopeful. I know, as John says, I don't need another origin story, but John is a guy he has a plethora of information and knowledge and comics background. Not everybody does, right? So I do hope that they explain that.
Honestly, at this standpoint, I'm just crossing my fingers to have him back, because really, as much as I want an Avengers movie, I want a Midnight Suns movie so bad That's all I want in my life. I want Blade. I want Man Thing. I want Wong. I want Moon Knight. I want Doctor Strange all hanging out and I guess Black Knight just fighting vampires and dealing with weird stuff in the Marvel universe. I just want them to do supernatural stuff. Maybe get a Winchester in there to make Andre happy. Just bring in Dean and then have them go around just taking out weird supernatural threats to the MCU. So hopefully we can keep Oscar Isaac interested in that idea. If not, I'm cool. We'll recast someone else. Bring in Moon Knight. Let's keep on going. Needless to say, John, you're going to watch it to the end, so I'm not going to ask you about whether you're going to watch the next episode. You're in because you're not a quitter.
I am though, but yeah, I'm going to watch it.
Not one podcast. So yeah, you are a quitter, but not for this. Yeah, all right.
Look at John's face. He's like, shit, I'm stuck now. I actually have to watch these next 3 episodes.
It's gonna be rough if next episode doesn't pick up the pace.
But what is it you want to see in the next episode that will make you feel like that the episode is redeemable for you?
I like these first 3 episodes. Even if these next episodes are good, I'm not gonna really rewatch them. Parts of them maybe, but it's just gotta put things together faster for people. I feel like it's dragging its cape right now.
So if Kate Bishop all of a sudden shows up, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm down.
No, I don't need a cameo. I'm perfectly fine if this stays in a separate universe and they don't address the snap, all that kind of stuff. I'm 100% fine with that. I actually prefer if less of these things require you to know every single thing that happened, right? So I'm perfectly fine with that. I think it's got to lose this 90s movie feel and come into the modern age.
That's your vibe, John. That's your jam.
But it's too much. I don't know if anyone's jam was ever 90s superhero movies because they weren't as strong as they are now. You know what I mean?
You did a 90s movie bracket, did you not?
Yeah, they're action movies. They're not superhero movies, though.
But you also said that Batman and Robin was your favorite Batman movie, and that was in the 90s.
Batman and Robin has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. If Arnold Schwarzenegger shows up in the next episode of Moon Knight, we're going to be having a different conversation here.
As a guy who just said, I don't need cameos.
I don't need cameos, but maybe you need to say if this show can't get better, then throw the cameo in. Mandalorian lands and is looking for something.
Well, here's the thing. Pedro Pascal is best friends with Oscar Isaac, so if you can do it, you can do it. So let's see what happens. They're good buddies. All right.
They started a feud online, I think. They're like Moon Knight versus Mandalorian. I think that was one of the things they kicked up for jokes.
Yeah. All right. Well, John, where can we find you on the internet in the desert of the real?
Yeah, so Heroes World Online, that's going to take you to all our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the website itself. You can find us in the real in Markham, Ontario right now, 8601 Warden Avenue. And if you're listening to us on the audio, Heroes World Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, my podcast platform of choice is Spotify. It's free, folks, to listen to podcasts. So don't think that you have to pay just to listen to this type of stuff.
Because who would actually?
Yeah,
really, bro. Let's be honest,
bro. Come on, bro.
Yeah. All right, Rob. Show.
Well, when we're not listening to Stevie B and dancing out to Diamond Girl, you can find John and I Monday nights 8:15 live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. The Heroes World Sidekick Show, and this week we are reviewing Kill Bill 1 and 2 from Quentin Tarantino. It is currently on Amazon Prime. If you have access to that, if you want to stream it, please feel free to do so. And then join John and I as we discuss with our regular group of watchers and listeners. And for those who listen after the fact, hey, maybe if you have a time, join us on Monday. It's sometimes some people have a holiday on Monday, so you're more than welcome to join us. And we'll be live 8:15 YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
John, will you be wearing a matching jumping yellow jumpsuit on that podcast?
I might have to dust it off. I might have to dust off my Game of Death outfit if it fits still. I don't know. Crazy times with this pandemic.
Oh,
Wow.
that
Wow.
code for I gained some weight.
Well, again, thank you for joining us today. Please support your local stores if possible. Buy something big, buy something small. John and Andre will be able to ship it to you as always. Whatever you can is most helpful. The store is open. Check the various links for hours of operation. I know you're still in different hours of operation, so just make sure that you're there at the right time and don't show up when the store is closed. So again, please do what you can. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you next week, Moon Knight episode 4, and hopefully Nostradamus, aka me, will our hopes and dreams are correct, and John will like this episode.
It doesn't matter if people are enjoying this. That's
awesome.
awesome.
If John likes it or not, and if the numbers are like John's, like I love this show. It's my favorite show.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 train. I want the 10 out of 10 train to be running. Don't get me wrong. I want it to be running.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be 10 out of 10 to be the greatest show ever. So this is how it works. Yep. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Peace out.